Welcome, everybody, to the Season 2, Episode 1 kickoff of The Rewind. I am your host, Rachel. With me are my two lovely, wonderful people, assistants, co-hosts, Lindsey and Maxwell. Guys,
Hello.
this episode was amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. So much happened.
So much happened. But why don't we recap a little bit of Season 1 first, because I know we probably all binged it right before we started this. So what were some of your favorite moments in Season 1? Max?
Oh, me first. I think the highlight for me was the performance of Fight Song, which was done entirely in sign language. They had, worked with Deaf West, which is a theater company based in LA that specializes in putting together ASL-based musical theater. And I thought that was really breathtaking and made me cry and gave me chills. And then also anytime Peter Gallagher got to sing, the way his physicality would switch between his performance when he was dealing with PSP and then he would snap out of it and start singing and then revert back into it, I thought was really beautiful. And that final musical number of the whole season when they sang American Pie, sort of tying everything together, and it was sort of shot like in a one shot going through Zoe's parents' house, was really beautiful.
Yeah, I loved how they did Fight Song with a violin, because the violin is an instrument that I've been told is really it's easier for deaf people to learn because they feel the vibrations in their jaw and on their shoulders, and it's like for them to have that level of detail, like this whole show is just like paying that much attention to the minutia. That is one of the reasons that I fell in love with it. I love that detail of it. I completely agree. What about you, Lindsey?
Well, if we're talking about what we love about the show, and last season, I used to work at a nursing facility, and I was really close with a patient who was going through the same process that he went through, and just to see how perfectly they were able to show the signs and the different effects of PSP, and how the family is just what the family is going through was just, I thought that was it just captured everything. And my biggest takeaway was the last dance that she had with her father. That made me cry. And it was just, it reminded me of my first dance with my dad, and just knowing that this character is going away, and she knows that she knows that her father is going away, and this was just a way to wrap everything together so peacefully.
Yeah, my dad actually had PSP, so that first season was, well, this whole show is just incredibly personal to me. My roommate Brendan Hanna was doing a recap show like this one last season, and he was like, you really need to watch this show. And I was like, oh, fine. So I watched it, and then like I was like 3 episodes in and just like caught up and was just sobbing, because I was like, this is my story. Like I mean, minus the superpowers of musical numbers. if that was the case, my life would be much happier. Because there's nothing I love more than people bursting into song and dance, which is why I miss touring with theater companies so much, because my life was literally fame for 7 years. Like, we got stuck in an airport in Chicago, and they did the Clink number from Beauty and the Beast on the moving sidewalk. It was fantastic. but this show is just, it deals with it, and I know that Austin went through this, and this show is a love letter to his dad. And so when I found out that was the case, like I reached out to him on Twitter, and I was like, your story is my story, and you're handling this so beautifully. And it's you can tell that it is handled with such care and love. One of my favorite moments was Mo's struggle with the church. in the first episode, and her not feeling comfortable to be herself in the church, and that whole confrontation, because I've had a lot of issues with the church growing up and everything. And I'm also, obviously, I'm friends with Alphaba. So anybody who needs hugs and loves, I am your mom, and my gay babies, I love you so much, gay, trans, whatever. Like, love who you love. It's wonderful. And I love how they handle all of those issues within this show. And also the singing and dancing. Fucking Mandy Moore, just like put it. I love you so much, Mandy, if you can hear this. But everything is handled so beautifully, and like the story was just so stunningly gorgeous. I also loved watching, because I grew up in the Bay Area, so I'm like literally 40 minutes from San Francisco, and I love Vancouver, which is where they shoot. So like I'm like, oh, they're doing exteriors in Vancouver. I know that street. Oh, now they're in San Francisco. Okay, like it was real fun to be like, oh, they shot these out of order. I know exactly where these were shot. But yeah, and season 1 obviously ended with, guys, this is, just so you know, this is a spoiler heavy talk. We're talking everything. Yes. So if you've not seen the show, if you've not seen season 1, maybe skip to the next episode next week, and watch the season in the meantime. But you know, the season ends with Mitch passing away, and I was really like, the thing that really, really broke my heart was that he didn't get to see his grandson. And I was like, oh, like they have that whole like Braxton Hicks scare at the end. And like, you know, her brother is just really sad that he was like, I just wanted dad to be here for this. And it was like, just stabbed me right here. So season 1 ends, and now we come back in season 2, and we're 6 weeks into the future. And apparently now there's dogs at Spark Point, which makes me want to work there even more. Like, as soon as she walked in, I was like, is there a dog there? Like,
multiple dogs.
Yeah.
It's so sweet. And, you know, Leaf has taken over. And then she's greeted with one of the most amazing intros and welcomes ever with Hello, Dolly. Like,
they could, I don't think they could have possibly picked a better song for that moment.
Right.
Hello, Dolly is one of like the iconic songs in musical theater. It's a huge production number, and they went all out with the choreography, yes. The amount of extras and you know, ensemble members they had in that number was spectacular. Mandy Moore's choreography was on point. And I immediately noticed in that number, I was like, is that Harvey Guillen from What We Do in the Shadows? And it was. So that made me happy too.
Yeah, it was. I mean, Mandy's choreography is always just so spot on for any kind of movement that they do, whether it's hip hop or jazz or, you know, modern, and now Broadway, literally Broadway theatrical. Like, right. Good Lord, they were literally doing the trumpets, and I was like, yes, 76 trombones. But it was so great. I'm so glad that they did that. What was I'm so angry about this. I missed the first like 3 minutes of the show. What did Mo sing to her at the beginning?
Rise Up.
Yeah.
By Andre Day.
Of course she did. Mm-hmm. Like I just love how sometimes the music is so on point that it's like almost cheesy.
Right.
But it's like
what at least in that moment it was actually Mo singing and not a heart song. Yes. So Mo very much feels like the type of person that would be like, you got to rise up and get out of bed, girl. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing? So that was her choice. So it works.
I mean, if you think back to season 1, you know, every episode where every time that Zoey was waking up in the morning, she kept thinking that it was a heart song, and it's literally just Mo across the hallway belting it out. And I'm like, where do you live, and can I be your roommate?
I know, right?
Any opportunity to live in the vicinity of Alex Newell would be okay by me.
Oh my God. So yesterday when you were tweeting out about her, and I like tagged her in the tweet, and I was like, I love her. I just want to be friends with her or whatever. She like responded with kisses, and like I'm blushing. I'm like, what? Don't.
I saw that. I saw that. That he
I love you forever.
Wrote to you.
But yeah, okay. So glad I didn't miss much, because I came in like right as she was ending the song, and I was like, please don't tell me that she was like dancing and like doing a big production number at the beginning. Okay, good. Yeah. And then Maggie is just struggling.
Man.
Like, you lose the love of your life, and I can't even imagine what that's like. And dear God, is she so good at playing
Oh
that.
my
Lindsay, you
goodness,
want to go in
yes.
about Mary's?
Oh, she's just,
Steam Virgin.
goodness.
She's just excellent and wonderful. And I honestly, at the very beginning, when I can't remember what her daughter-in-law's name is, but she's got the baby and she's like trying to figure out how to make it fall asleep, and she's on the phone like screaming at someone trying to get like her husband's password, and I'm like,
Yep.
give her the baby and take the phone. Like, you
Right.
both need
Yes.
like Alice, you need to go yell at somebody and like talk to an adult, and she needs to hold a baby, because there's
Right.
legitimately something chemical about holding and smelling a newborn baby.
Mm-hmm.
It calms you down.
I thought it did a good job in showing how everyone deals with grief differently. Like the juxtaposition between Zoe's far more external manifestation of her grief, as opposed to Maggie, who was sort of internalizing it more and acting out and making choices, like the whole thing with her actively not holding the baby and stuff like that. Just everyone has their own process, and I think it was well written and felt true to the characters as we knew them from season 1.
See, it's very interesting that you think that Zoe was dealing with it externally and not internally, because I got the exact opposite. Because I was like, she's grieving like how I grieved. Like, she kept it all inside. She was avoiding people. She wasn't, leaning on her loved ones. Like, she was just taking care of business and trying to do the bare minimum and just trying to get by. And then she has that moment later on where she snaps. And I'm like, oh, God, I remember that snap.
I guess I meant in so much as she basically locked herself in her childhood room for 6 weeks and didn't do anything, which I guess is internal to her, but it was a more clear example of grief, whereas Maggie was living and dealing with things and hiding her struggles until she finally spoke to Zoe later and was like, oh, I have trouble too.
Yeah. And then so she goes to work, but she meets up with Max before she heads into work for her coffee. And can I just say, the beards on this episode.
That was the first thing I said is, oh, Skylar looks good with that stubble.
Mm-hmm. Skylar.
It was a long time, guys.
Yeah. I mean, I follow him on Instagram, and so like I've literally seen like the Corona beard that he's been growing until he left for Vancouver. And I was like, oh, please don't go clean shaven. Like, Max is unemployed. There's no reason for him to shave. Like, please just make him look just a little bit. And like, it was, baby, it looks good on you. Yes, honey. And then that ring. Like, can I just punch him in the face with how much I love him?
It's such a thoughtful, sweet gesture.
He puts a shield on it and then says he asked them to put the note backwards because it looked like a Z.
I know.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Thoughtfulness makes me angry. Makes me bitter. It's
modern day Shakespeare. Jesus. Whew.
It's true. But I mean, it just goes to show like how good of a friend he is, that like he kept that distance, and it's wonderful. Lindsay, what did you think at the beginning that Matt, like, what were your feelings about like Max and Zoe?
I don't know. Kind of mixed, but I kind of knew that since they've been friends forever, that it's just going to kind of come back. And especially during this time that she's grieving, has a lot of time to think about herself and think about what she wants to do. And when she finally comes out, she's able to get what she wants because she knows the next step that she needs to get. But in order to get there, she has to slowly encounter everybody else. And so that was like probably the first encounter where she's like, you know what? You're right. Let's do this in her mind.
Now, were you guys team Max or team Simon at the end of last season?
Ooh, that's a hard
Team
one.
Max.
Well, I mean, obviously, because,
Nothing to do with the name. Although anytime a character is named Max, but more specifically Maxwell, it's always odd for me because you don't necessarily hear that name a lot in TV and movies. I don't know. I think Simon's a good guy, and obviously he's very sexy. But to me, I can't remember which episode it was. Oh, so the one where she had the glitch and she was singing instead of hearing everyone else.
Yeah.
I thought what was really telling was the type of song she chose to sing to both of them. The song she sang to Max was more loving and caring and
Right.
thoughtful. And basically the song she sang to Simon was like, I want your body.
Right.
I want you to
So
want it.
I always felt Simon was more of a lust, which is legitimate and very valid. But in terms of like who I think she should end up with long term and is best for her and will be a good partner for her, it was Max for me.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I had some, like, I had such a love-hate relationship with Simon during season 1 because I was like, you're being a dick. Stop being selfish. Pull your head out of your ass and make a decision, because he was juggling Jessica and Zoey. But yeah, no, I've always been Team Max from the get-go. Especially, it nailed it in season 1 when her dad passes. Like when she gets the call, they're like messing around and she gets the call, and he instantly like, no questions asked, takes her over to her family's house. And then while she's dealing with her family, he goes off and calls Simon.
Yeah.
Right.
He knows it's what's best for her.
Yeah.
And he has that ability to put his ego aside,
Right.
regardless of the fact that both he and Simon sang Be My Girl by the Strokes today. He has that ability to put his ego aside and do what's right for her. So she goes to work, gets kind of overloaded by Joan, who offers her basically her job.
Yeah.
Freaks her out. She runs home and stops in at Mo's apartment before she goes and finds Mo and Simon and Max. Like, literally, she's coming up the stairs.
Hanging out, watching sports.
I was like, are they watching sports ball?
Yes, they were.
And the three of them are just hanging out. Now, I would have loved an entire three episode, mid-season, just throwaway episodes of the three of them doing everything that she said that they did while they were hanging out.
Yeah.
I love how Mo was like, yeah, we started hanging out. No big deal. We would watch games, go eat. We went on a ski trip. No big deal.
Right.
Throwing in a ski trip. I was like, that's a big deal. That's like a major friend's trip to take. That's not just a little thing you throw away.
Yeah.
Right.
She's like, pub crawl, skiing in Tahoe. I was like, okay, that's like 5 hours.
I agree.
away.
They should make a little short about Mo and Simon and Max skiing together in Tahoe. That would be delightful.
I just want to see Mo wing womaning for both of them on that ski trip and trying to find them little ski bunnies.
Only problem is if Zoe's not there, they're not really going to sing. I mean, Mo would probably sing because Mo always sings.
Well, yeah.
But you wouldn't hear Max and Simon singing, and that would be a shame because their voices are lovely.
I mean, maybe by themselves. Maybe we could do an internal monologue type.
Oh, that could work.
Yeah, because you could just do one song and then have it scene after scene. So
Yeah.
just put it all into one song.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to be there to witness it, because everybody
Right.
has their heart songs that they sing
Sure.
on their own. Because I mean, theoretically, people have been doing this since the dawn of time, and she's just been able to now tap into that.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's at least my belief, because I constantly have a monologue and songs going on in my head and in my heart. So I just figure, I'm hoping I'm not the only one.
Nope, you're not alone.
Yeah. No.
So, which one do you think that Mo thinks is the more handsome one? Because I'm dying to know.
I think Simon.
Lindsey, you look perplexed.
I don't know. Personally, I don't know, but my guess. Well, I would say Simon because she's like, well, I'm not going to tell you, but.
I mean, I would tend to agree with you, except for the fact that we know that Mo has seen Max shirtless.
That's true.
Oh.
And oh dear God.
That is true.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
That's true.
Just.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The boy's got a good body. Good for you. Good for you, Skylar. But yeah, so they go through all of this. They sing "Be My Girl" by The Strokes, which I thought the way that they cut it was perfect. Not just the way that they distributed like the lyrics between the two of them, but the way that they ended it was, I was like, this is just, I want my entire life soundtrack done by the music people from Zoey's. That just sounds amazing.
And I do have to say, just in a macro sense, obviously they were filming this during COVID. They started shooting in September. So everyone had to quarantine. Any guest stars has to quarantine for 14 days. I'm sure the crew was in masks, but you couldn't tell. It didn't feel like it. I've watched some television where it felt a little different than prior seasons of the show did. Like they were staging things differently or choosing to have less actors around or some stuff like that. And this felt harmonious with season 1. So whatever they're doing up there in Vancouver is working nicely.
Yeah, I know that they're being very strict about testing, and you go as soon as you before you step foot on set, you've got to swab up your nose, you wait for your results, like they test your temperature.
Right. Well, especially with singing, they say singing is one of the most like spreadable things you can do. So you have to be really careful. Yeah. So
all the projecting and
spittle does tend to come out when one is singing or belting.
Yes.
Or screlting.
There's a lot of that.
Okay, so we got all of that. Can I just say that one of the best lines, I think that whoever writes these episodes just has a deep love for Tobin, because I think Tobin gets all of the best lines. Because when Zoey comes into the office for the first time, he's like, "Look at you, death becomes you," and like high fives her, and I was like,
I want to hate Tobin, but I think everybody knows a Tobin. And there's something lovable about his douchery. And as we've seen, he has more complex than he lets on. He has like this very like, I'm a cool guy, don't care about anything exterior, but he is very funny. He gets some really good zingers in there. I agree.
Well, he also had these really like very raw moments that were not treated as such in season 1. Like when they're like, "What is your problem?" He's like, "My mom abandoned me, and every woman has ever like loved me or whatever is like left me and blah blah blah." He's like, "And?" I was like, "Oh my god!" Like, do you want to like in my heart? I'm like, "Do you want to pause and like talk about this? Like, we can go grab a coffee. Like, do you want a hug?" And then you find out that he knows ASL, but he learned it for a douchey reason. And then he like sits there with Abigail when she comes in to like meet with Zoey about the internship, and they're sitting there just like talking, like it's no big deal. He's like, "Yeah, she's pretty cool. I like her." I would love at some point this season for Abigail to come back and do an internship and have the two of them just be like buddies, or even like have her be like a love interest for Tobin. Like
that would be cool. It's going to be interesting to see what guest stars do and don't come back, because like I was just saying with COVID, like I already know like we haven't quite gotten there yet, but the Lauren Graham situation was entirely about COVID scheduling, because this was supposed to film earlier and then it got delayed, and so she had a commitment to do Mighty Ducks. So they ended up filming at the same time, and she was in first position on Mighty Ducks, so they had to write her out. So someone asked the writer of the show, like, would she come back as a guest star? And he said, "We don't know yet. It's difficult because if you're flying up to Vancouver, you have to quarantine for 14 days before you can come on set. So it's a much bigger commitment than guest starring on a show would be normally."
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm sure that's impacting some of their writing decisions. But I would love to see her back. I'd like to see, oh God, what's his name? The caretaker back too. I thought he was such a good character too. I can't remember his name.
Fudge. What's his name?
I can't.
Howie.
Howie. Yeah, Howie.
Howie's amazing. I would love to see Howie and Abigail come back. I mean, obviously, let's just be honest. If Bernadette Peters does not, if I don't get more of Maggie and Bernadette, I am going to be so angry, because when those two went out for pie, I was like, can I just be a fly on the wall for this?
Well, I feel like it makes perfect sense that they would become friends, especially now that Mitch has passed away. They can lean on each other, and a musical number with Bernadette Peters and Mary Steenburgen would be like out of control good.
Like, I don't even want to get my heart set on it because it already is. But like, just give me like I remember that episode as soon as like the music started and then she said one word. I was like,
I knew immediately. I was like, that's Bernie. It's my girl.
Like Brandon was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "It's fucking Bernie." And he goes, I'm like, "Shut the fuck up." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah,
my
I feel
God,
like
no."
I feel like Brandon wouldn't know who that is.
No, I explained it to him. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I couldn't let him go into his show not knowing who
Oh,
Bernadette
of course.
was.
Of course.
I was like, "Baby, no, we're gonna have a sit down and we're gonna talk about this for a quick second." Yeah, I would love to see Bernadette Peters come back. Who else should come back? Oh, I want Stephanie Styles to come back.
Yeah.
Stephanie Styles is so talented. I saw her
Oh
in
my
Kiss Me
gosh.
Kate on Broadway. I guess it was 2 seasons ago. And for me, it felt like a real Star is Born moment. Like, I think that was her debut, and she had a really good role, and she was incredibly good. Her comedic timing, her voice, she's a star.
She was on the Newsies tour when I was
Yep,
on
she
it,
was
and
on
I got to hang out with her, and she is.
Oh my
I'm not
gosh.
joking. Like she's just as lovely as you think she is. She is
Yeah.
also like pints. I mean, I'm an Amazon, but she is pint size, and I'm like, I will carry you in my purse all day if you sing songs. Like I will be the Luke to your Yoda if you just want to ride my back everywhere. Like your feet never have to touch the ground until we get to the theater. I love her. She's amazing.
I could see her coming back because she's so talented.
Yes.
It's funny because she went to my high school, and when my sister was a freshman, they were in the musical The Drowsy Chaperone. And so I saw her 3 times.
Oh, wow.
And she was so good. And then she got the Tommy Tune Award for like the high school thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Tommy.
After
Tune.
that, I was like, oh my gosh, hi. You don't know me, but I saw you.
That's
I'm
awesome.
sure that if you ever got to meet her and said that you saw her in high school, she would be like, "Oh God." Like any person I've ever heard that somebody came up and was like, "I saw you in a high school production." They're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, can I give you your money back?" But they would be amazing. I am very sad because we do find out later that Joan is like the boss that everyone needs when they go through something traumatic.
Right.
I wish that I had a Joan. Instead, I got back from my dad's funeral after being gone for 2 weeks and got fired.
Oh.
No, it was a blessing in disguise. But I literally walked in like my first day, and they're like, "Yeah, we need to let you go." And I'm like, "You guys are assholes!" Like literally, like I got up this morning and got out of bed. Like you could have called me and been like, "Take your time coming back to work," and then called me and been like, "You can just not come back in." But Joan is amazing. She, is trying to get an answer out of Zoey on whether she wants to take over the 4th floor, which as soon as she gave her the job, I'm like, I know exactly what's going to happen. This is perfect. This is wonderful. I'm so glad because she's going to move in and everything happened the way I knew. She moves in, takes over the 4th floor, and then Leaf takes over as manager.
Yeah.
Coders. And I'm so glad. I love that kid so much.
Talking about the 4th floor, the other person I'd love to see come back is Renee Elise Goldberry on the 6th floor because her talent is, just stratospheric. So any opportunity to have her back singing. But Joan is fascinating because I don't want to bury the lead. Like I literally binged the whole first season yesterday. I couldn't believe I hadn't watched it before because what I do for a living is I fucking produce musical theater. So like this is my bread and butter. I should have watched it. It's now immediately become one of my favorite things. But so I'm a lot more immediate on this. But Joan was interesting because when we first met her, I was expecting her to be like the bitchy boss. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they just adjusted the writing a little bit or just as she got to know Zoey and sort of, it was very clear to me that she saw like a protege in Zoey. And I love how in the first season, their relationship developed. They became friends. They started to rely on each other. They confided in each other. And then the way that she just sort of let her take the time she needed to grieve. I feel like a lot of modern tech companies tend to be better about that than other companies. Right. So that was consistent with Sparkplug. But yeah, Joan is lovely, and I am going to miss her a lot. Because Lauren Graham, I mean, I'm a huge Gilmore Girls fan. So Lauren Graham shows up in something, and I'm like, let's go. This is it.
100%. Yeah, no, I know. I love it's another thing that I absolutely adore about this show. I know I'm gonna say that a lot this season, guys. Like, get used to it. We love this show so
Love it.
freaking much. But one of the main things that I love about this show is the way that they handle female empowerment and females in power.
Yes.
They, they make them a little bit cutthroat, but they don't make them like that archetype, like crazy bitch boss.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
tough, but they also care. And it's
Mhm.
not a weakness for them. It is a
Right.
massive strength. Like the amount of the amount of love that Joan has for her team. She wants them to do well. She just pushes people and she wants them to be better. And I love the way that they handled all of that, all of those moving parts. And I mean, the way that they handled the men in charge just kind of like was a really great thing. Like her husband was a big mogul tech and we got to see him just be a massive douche nozzle. And then the guy who created Spark Point is
And
under investigation and on home.
that character is so weird, and I know Noah Weisberg who plays him. I've worked with him a little bit. He's a funny guy, so he's not like that character at all. So it took me a second to be like, oh, he's playing a real bizarre douchebag here. It's like he's such a nice guy. But yeah, definitely the men in charge in this show are portrayed worse as the women in charge, which I think is a good thing because that's tends to be how the world is.
I mean, I will say this, as somebody who grew up in the Silicon Valley, that character is not an exaggeration.
Oh, no, absolutely
At
not.
all. Like, that is a 21-year-old that made billions of dollars off an idea and now gets to do whatever he wants because no one has the balls to tell him no.
I mean, the Mark Zuckerberg influence was clear on that character. Down to picking a Jewish actor with curly hair who kind of looks like Mark Zuckerberg.
That's a little bit of a reach, Max.
I don't know.
Totally coincidental. Not on purpose at all. I think they even picked like the Facebook like color scheme from The Offices too.
Yeah, I think so. It's a great set too. Like the set for the Sparkplug office is one of my favorite like modern network television sets because it's so open, which makes it perfect for these big dance numbers.
Well, it's
and like with the little steps that they have on the side.
Well, the lobby that lobby that they use is actually oh my god, it's a college campus in Vancouver.
Makes sense.
Wow.
So like I've actually been there. Like I remember the first time I watched it, I was like, I got on those steps. Like, wait a minute. And then I found out it was shot in Vancouver. I'm like, oh no, I know exactly where that is. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I love that place. It is amazing. I just want to have a meeting in the nest.
Well, I desperately want my own isolation pod.
Please.
Because sometimes you just want to close it out.
Dude, when Leaf does that, it just hurt my soul.
Oh, so sad.
Just closes it. You're just like, you just want to like kiss the top of the egg and be like, you're gonna be okay, buddy.
Right.
Yeah, so she's great. So Joan's leaving because she doesn't want to be in the Bay Area anymore. Too many memories.
Go to Singapore.
Go to Singapore. Run the entire world from over there. And I'm so excited that they didn't write her off like forever. And
she could
like back in town for a conference or something.
Right.
She still was sparkling.
Theoretically, the producer and me is like they could have her on a Zoom call that she could just film from the Mighty Duck set and put it on Zoe's computer. Like there's definitely ways to bring her back if they so chose. Yeah. Anytime you can work with actors like Lauren Graham, writing her off in a way that she could easily come back is the right choice.
Especially when she's such a beloved character.
Yeah.
So she leaves, and then we have Max going back to talk to Mo because Max's whole thing is he's trying to find something to work on. He's trying to find his unicorn project, as he puts it. Which apparently does not stand for made up. It stands for
one of a kind.
One of a kind. So he goes back to talk to Mo because he and Simon and Mo were sitting around after Zoey ran away from them and all wanted different foods and came up with this great idea for a food delivery that you could order from multiple restaurants, which I'm shocked hasn't happened because now you
I feel like they're going to open a restaurant where you can either get it delivered to the restaurant or they have multiple foods at the restaurant. Because the idea was being able to go out somewhere, be with your friends when you all want different things. Because like when Simon said, now I wish I could go out to eat with my vegan friends. And I legitimately think it's a really good idea.
Also, that's such a bullshit statement for San Francisco. I'm sorry, but that is
Yeah, I mean,
town
in San
101.
Francisco especially, you can get vegan food at pretty much any restaurant. But
Yeah, like I love the idea. Although he said that, and I was like, vegans, yay! Somebody wants to eat with us.
I want to eat with you. I've had many meals with you.
We have very enjoyable ones. Very enjoyable ones
And
sometimes.
some, unfortunately, where what they claimed was vegan was not.
Oh, that was so much fun.
Yes.
So Max goes back to Zoey, or Max goes back to Mo's, and let me just say, I want Mo's closet.
Oh, I know.
Because she opens that door and she's in her June Cleaver from head to toe with her pearls and her dress and her apron and her hair. And Alex Newell, I deeply, deeply love you. I want to be friends. Let's go shopping.
He is so incredibly talented.
Just love.
And this character that he's created is iconic.
She's perfect. All
Yes.
of it. Just yes. And so Max comes in.
Like a blowtorch. I was dying. I was like, oh my God, what are you doing? And Max is like, are you welding? I don't know.
Be like, yeah,
No.
of course.
It just always makes me nervous when someone in a wig has a blowtorch or like any sort of like flame near them. I'm like, that's gonna go up in 5 seconds. There's so much hairspray and vodka in there. I don't know if you guys know this, but they use diluted vodka to keep wardrobe primed and ready, and that shit is flammable. And then Max almost blows off one of his own eyebrows when he goes to help brulee the creme brulees. And they get to talking about this. So I'm really excited for the things that are coming Max's way. Because I think that I was really nervous when they fired him from Spark Point and then didn't bring him back.
You're right. Yeah.
Like he didn't take up the job offer for it. Because I was like, he's such an integral part of this show and of Zoey's journey and Zoey's story that like, how are they going to keep him around without it being just like guy on couch?
Although I appreciated that he didn't immediately go back because I love it when shows shake up the status quo. Especially with network television, like you can't escape the fact that this is on NBC. It's not like a streaming show or not on HBO or anything. So they do try to keep things in the status quo. And I feel like for Max as a character, him not going back is the right choice. And I'm really excited, like you said, for what he has coming. And the idea of him working hand in hand with Mo is really exciting.
Yeah.
Because I think the two of them have good chemistry, and I hope we see a duet because I would argue that Skylar and Alex have the two best voices on the show.
100%.
I mean, they also both have Broadway experience, like ample Broadway experience, so it makes sense.
Yes. Also, I just want to see them dance together because I think that just the two of them are just like my favorite people. So I just want, just give me, like I said, just give me Max and Mo, and you can throw in Simon too if you want to. I don't care. I'll take an entire season of the three of them hanging out. It sounds amazing. And then they go back. They go back to Zoey's parents' house, or to Maggie's house now. And so I noticed something very, very small that happened and changed in the house that really hit me hard. And that is they got a new couch. Because the old one had Mitch's spot.
Yeah.
And even when he wasn't sitting in there, it had his divot. And like seeing that new couch, just like, it's such a small thing to notice and such an important thing for a family to like do.
Right.
I honestly, I can't remember if it was in the finale or this episode because I watched them both today. There was a shot that lingered on his spot in the couch. Empty.
It was the last scene of last episode.
And I just love visual storytelling like that, where you know exactly what it's saying without having to say anything.
Right.
And yeah, having a new couch, it makes so much sense, and that's just another great way of using visual storytelling to show how things have to move on.
Yeah. Well, also the things that had to move on. We find the testimonials
Oh God.
in Mitch's computer, and the fact that I still have makeup on my face is like insane. I'm really glad that they didn't play Zoey's testimonial yet. I know
Right.
it's coming. I know
Yeah, it's gonna come.
Yes.
hers and Andrew's. But that one for Maggie.
When we saw like the briefest glimpse of Anders and he started saying you're about to be a father, I was like, oh, no, can't. And man, Peter Gallagher, like one of the things that struck me most about the first season was his performance. And here too, he had to portray a whole other element of PSP, and I don't have a ton of experience with it, but it felt pretty authentic to me.
I mean,
The amount of care he has put into this portrayal is impressive.
yeah.
And you can tell that he cares.
Yeah, I think everybody who is a part of this show knows how much this show means to Austin. And so they care about, like, everybody cares about the show so much. They want to portray it as perfectly and with as much respect as possible.
Right.
And I remember, like, as soon as Mitch opens his mouth, and starts talking, I was like, I remember that stage with my dad. Like, that's a tough one to go through. Like the silence is one thing, like the not being able to talk, that's a level that you like, it's a level you get, I don't want to say used to, but it's there's no more changing. But
Right.
when you're going through the loss of vocalization, especially with my dad was such a storyteller, and like he was such a he loved telling jokes, and would tell the same ones over and over again to new people, but he'd always like make us laugh every time still. Like that was him. So like him having lost his voice in that progression was really tough. And so and not even just seeing that, but like seeing the progression that Mitch went through between the 3 videos was just like the fact that Peter Gallagher didn't get a Tony or an Emmy nomination for this, like really like boils my blood.
Yeah.
And I think the casting of him too is smart because everyone knows Peter Gallagher. He's played the dad in so many things. Like my mind at first immediately goes to the OC, where I think he's one of the great TV dads. So it's one of those casting choices that you just have like built-in familiarity. You know what type of actor he is. So even though he doesn't speak pretty much at all in the first season, he gets a few great songs. You can just tell what kind of guy he was because you know Peter Gallagher.
Yeah.
And I bet he was a great storyteller too, just like your dad.
Yeah, he's amazing. Like there's so many parallels, but yeah, I do miss Howie. I loved that interaction last season with Howie just being like, dude, you're not moving. We're gonna clean out the tables on online poker, like, and we'll buy you something real nice. What did you say? Oh, you want to bet it all on the ponies? Like, it was just so perfect. I was like, that's the guy I wish would have been watching after my dad. Like that, he would have loved that. That would have been so much fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Lindsey,
I wonder if that character was based on someone that Austin knew or helped take care of his dad.
Yeah, I wonder. That would be amazing to know.
Right.
Lindsey, do you have any insights on the care that goes into that?
Well, I was just blown away how much he himself actually cared, and you can see how when he first starts, he's obviously done this before, and he understands that he's going to either way fall in love with this patient, and just seeing the way he was kind of like off-putting. He's still interested, but you can just see how he was like, at certain times, he didn't want to go too far because he'll get close. But each episode, it was just your connection and being with them. And so you just, seeing him feel for the family is just, that's what really does happen, because all you can do is just reach out to them and say, I hope you're okay. If you need anything, I'm always here for you. Sometimes people will reach out, but once you're done, you're just kind of a little dove in the wind.
Yeah, I think Howie will come back though because of the connection that he made between Abigail and Zoey. So I really hope that we get him back at some point. Like, I hope he like helps bring her stuff in for her first day of internship or for work for Spark Point. I think that would be just like the sweetest thing because he is like that dad, you know, like he, you know, he's that Papa Bear. He just wants to make sure that she's okay and. I think that would be really sweet to just to get to see him again. Like, he doesn't have to be in the whole episode. He doesn't have to have like more than a few lines. Like, we just want to see him and like see the scene between him and Zoey and check in and like have him like talk with his daughter for a little bit and then leave. Like, that's I just want him back in our lives for just a little bit. Yeah. And so then, you know, they watch Maggie's video, which is so beautiful, and it was done on a good day, and he tells her how much he loves her, and then he starts reminiscing about their solo trip to Italy. He gets a little steamy, so she closes her laptop. I thought that was really
we're gonna watch this later. It's private.
I thought that was really cute. Because the first time when they try to go to watch the videos, Maggie's the one that closes it because they're watching the kids ones, and it was the ones where Mitch wasn't having the best day, or it was further on in the progression of the disease, and it was really hard for him to speak, and it was really hard for them to see him like that. Because it is like watching somebody that you love like struggle like that. It makes you feel helpless and hopeless, and it's really, really hard. And then once you get past that stage, you kind of numb yourself a little bit. And they're going through the grief process. So being reminded of that emotional struggle is really hard, and she slams it closed. So this time when she slams it closed, it's on a good note. And so I really loved that they let that one go. And then, you know, Zoe's kind of good, and she snaps at work and yells at people. We get to meet George and see that he's being bullied by Tobin because, you know, Tobin's just like a 12-year-old boy deep down. And, you know, sometimes you need to put 12-year-old boys in their place. And Zoey does. And that hug that she shares with George and that speech that he gives her about how small, kind gestures are monumental to him. I'm like, same. I want to hug him so bad. And then they have that hug. And I was like, she just doesn't let go. It was so.
And he embraces it. He's like, oh, long hug. I've known so many Georges, and there are many times where I've been George. So I think he's a lovely character, and I expect him to be around a lot.
I hope so. I mean, he's supposed to be one of the main characters of this season, so I would love to see how they're going to use him. Because first of all, if you know anything about this guy, you know how great he is. At self-deprecating humor, and just like he's always like the punching bag for like the bully. He's so sweet and wonderful. Like, he's so perfect in What We Do in the Shadows show. Like, that's how I know him from. He's just beautiful.
He was on The Magicians also, which I watched and liked.
Oh yeah, thank you. I completely forgot he was in that. It's been a while.
He just has like a gentleness to him. Like, you see him and you immediately feel that he's kind.
Yeah, which made me really sad that like the dogs, he was scared of the dogs, and I was like, I feel like you should be on the floor like rubbing their bellies. Like, I feel like that's who you are. Or maybe you're like the guy who has like a mouse in his pocket. Like, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe that's him. But he's lovely. And when Zoey takes the job and promotes Lee.
Does.
And then she goes home. Well, she goes back to her mom's place, and she's sitting on the bed, and Max comes in. And he's all excited about his new venture with Mo. And I thought it was really sweet that he like was like, Mo's been your friend, you know, so I know if this is weird for you. And she like, in my brain, I'm like, why would that be weird? Like,
right.
You're her best friend, and Mo.
Yeah, Brandy in the chat said they said that Tobin specifically trained that dog to annoy George.
Oh, I don't. Did he?
Yeah,
that's cool.
As part of like his hazing.
Aside from the baby tiger that he bought on the black market.
God. When he had all the scratches on his arm, I was just like, oh, poor baby.
I know, baby, put some Bactine on those. Go, you're gonna get like, you
I
know,
think
infection,
you need some ointment at least.
right? Put a bandage on him. But then he comes down and sits, and they talk about. He tells her about this, that he's got this great idea that he wants to work with Mo on, and he gets her blessing. And then I literally, like, my note was in all caps because I'm passionate. Kiss that boy. And then she does.
She does. She kissed her man.
She kissed all of our man, let's be honest. As soon as he sang, I will walk 500 miles.
Well, look, so I went to sleepaway camp with Skylar when we were like 10, 11, 12, 13. So while I recognize that he's very attractive and lovable, I also have a very different perception of him. So yes, but also ew.
But also, boys like that are just disgusting too. Like at that age.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We are all disgusting.
Yeah.
All of us.
Well,
and sleepaway camp is especially disgusting. You shower like every 3 days.
Well, I mean, it's like when I tell friends that I was on Warped Tour and I know all these like big pop punk bands, whatever. They're like, oh my God, I love them so much. I'm like, dude, if you could smell them, you would not think so.
Well, that's why they have swimming. They just go in the water.
Yeah.
Well, that would be great for sleepaway camp. However, we don't have that on Warped Tour.
Warped Tour didn't have pools.
Yeah.
We had one pool, and it was in like Cleveland because there was a water park next to the venue, and we got to go into the wave pool for like 10 minutes before they closed at the end of the night. I just never wanted to be in the I was like, I'm going in the water first, and I'm not like that water is going to be gross after a while. But yeah, so we get Max and Zoey kissing, so they're, I'm guessing, officially not together because she seemed like she actually made a conscious decision and like really thought it through to be with Max. So I'm really happy about that. Mm-hmm. How do you think Simon's going to handle this news?
I mean, Simon's still got his own shit to deal with.
Yes.
Like he just broke off an engagement not too long ago. He's still, I don't think, fully processed his dad's suicide. Mm-hmm. I think he'll be upset. But I also think he won't I don't think there will be I don't anticipate any sort of rivalry or animosity towards either Zoey or Max. Like, I think he'll be more upset than he will be angry. So I might be wrong, but I think they built like this strong friend group now that they'll deal. Right.
I mean, I'm excited to see what song he's going to sing when he finds out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think it would be? I literally just started thinking about this while you were talking, and I was like, shit, what song would he sing?
I don't know.
Unbreak My Heart?
Could be. They've made some great song choices all throughout. Right. Some that like make perfect sense and some that are unexpected and then end up making perfect sense. Yeah. And like running the gamut, like to have Hello Dolly in the same episode as a song by Fun. It's like there is no...
Yeah. Which honestly, we didn't even talk about that. Let's talk about that. When, after they watch the video and Mitch is telling the whole family to like, please don't wallow in despair and don't wrap yourself in the blanket of depression, like move on. And then they start singing Carry On, and I like burst into tears because I was like, why are these song selections so fucking hard?
And the blocking and staging of that, they would freeze sometimes. Yes, it would sort of shift from character to, it was gorgeous, gorgeously done. And I like how, as the show has evolved, the way Zoey acts during the musical numbers is different. Like, she's interacting with them more instead of just looking annoyed. And the way she watched and handled that one, just her facial expressions was beautiful.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the fact that she was almost a part of it. Mm-hmm. Like, she almost started singing along with them.
Like, in that moment, that was probably her heart song too.
Yeah, I'm dying for that to happen. I'm dying.
I think that'll happen.
Join in with somebody's heart song and for them to recognize her, and like for them to be in that moment together.
Right. Yeah.
And not like it, because I know that Mo and, oh my God, what's her boyfriend's name?
Oh God.
The beautiful Latin boy
Right.
that's on the cruise ship right now. Eli? Anyway, when they sang Bailamos, it was them singing to each other, but like not
Right.
acknowledging.
Yeah.
It was
That's
their
true.
dance together, but like I want Zoey to come into somebody's heart song and do a duet, and for them to like, no, I think that would be really great if they made it with Max, because Max.
I think that makes the most sense. Also because there was that flash mob scene where she thought it was a heart song, but it was actually him
Right,
singing.
yeah.
So I almost feel like, because they've shown Max has a good voice and it's not just his internal voice, like it could almost be like she starts singing with him and then he actually starts singing with her.
Right.
Yeah.
Brandy says his name is Eddie.
Eddie, thank you. I was like, I know it starts with an E.
She also has an interesting question.
This one?
Yeah, but after that,
Oh. Yes, we all love music, but would you want this power?
No.
I mean, like I said, I basically lived it for 7 years on tour with Beauty and the Beast and American in Paris.
I would love a world where people just break out into song all the time, because I think life should be a musical, but I have no interest in hearing other people's thoughts, because that's dangerous and people tend to think really mean, nasty things. I'm surprised there actually hasn't been a scene where someone who hates her or is mad at her is singing like a "fuck you" Zoey song.
Right.
I mean, actually, that could actually prove interesting if India de Beaufort comes back.
Yeah,
Jessica. I mean, she kind of did, like during the engagement party.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great number.
I mean, yeah. Girl was whipping those extensions back and forth. I was afraid someone would fall out. I was like,
that is true. That was probably the most overt, like, "fuck you, Zoey" number we've had.
Yeah. But I think that it would be very interesting if Jessica comes back. And I mean, I think after 6 weeks, that's a little bit of a long enough time. I mean, because it's been 6 weeks since her dad died, and the party happened, like a week before. So it's been like 7 or 8 weeks since the engagement party and the breakup. So maybe, unless she comes across Zoey and Simon hanging out in the world.
So, yeah, that could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, Brandy is pretty much a moderator for everyone's YouTube channel. So Buck is saying that because Brandy doesn't have a wrench, it's weird.
Right. I mean, she can have one if she wants.
I don't know. Brandy is my favorite moderator.
Oh, she's amazing. I love the fact that she was here. But yeah, I mean, then again, there's like 6 people watching this, so not really needing a moderator. We did have a stream.
Yeah, Brandy is pretty much a moderator for everyone's YouTube. That was weird.
What happened?
Your computer just likes Brandy, so.
I just heard myself saying what I just said.
Oh, I clicked on the YouTube thing that I have up, and it wasn't muted, and I had to mute it. I was like, wait, what happened? But we did have somebody send in a Streamlabs. PC says, "Woo, Lindsey! Can't wait to play Keno with you again. Thank you for hanging with me in Atlanta." I hope I did you proud, PC, because I feel like that was your heart song for that post.
Yes.
And by the way, since he's here in the chat, I hope you feel better, Buck. I know you're not doing so great right now.
Yeah.
So please get rest, fluids, etc.
Watch any movie that makes you happy.
Yes.
No matter how bad. Actually, especially the bad ones. Watch the bad ones.
Oh, when I'm sick, all I want to do is watch terrible movies that I love.
Yes. I mean, well, that's my everyday. But for some reason, when I'm sick,
true.
I want, like when I was sick as a kid, I would stay home from school. I would always watch Hook.
When I was sick as a kid, I would watch Snow Day.
Nice.
I
still love that movie.
I just watched The Price is Right, and then
yeah, I watched that. Yeah,
PBS Kids.
Well, it was The Price is Right, Nap, and then Hook.
Gotcha.
Fair.
Yeah. because Price is Right came on at like 10 a.m. our time.
Mm-hmm.
So like you'd wake up, have a fever, not go to school, take a shower, go back to bed after breakfast, wake up for Wheel of Fortune or for Price is Right, because everybody needs Bob Barker in their life.
Oh,
I feel like that's what got us through our childhood.
Yeah, definitely.
And then wake up for lunch and Hook. It was amazing.
I do like Hook.
It's such a, I mean,
but yeah, I can't wait to see like Max and Zoey as a couple. I feel like they're going to be one of those like super lovey-dovey, like almost obnoxiously cute couples.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I'm okay with that.
I don't feel like they're going to be like crazy PDA, because like I don't think
no.
But I think they're just like, 'cause even as friends, they were so cute together that I was like, ugh, gross.
Well, and I think because Max is not working at SparkPoint anymore, they won't have like those potentially awkward opportunities to like have at work PDA.
But he'll stop by at lunch because
he will probably stop by at lunch.
Like,
he works on his own time.
Yeah,
he works on his own time. He'll be bringing cheesequakes.
Be like, what was
First of all, I want a cheesequake so bad.
I know. I literally was like, I wonder if somebody in San Francisco actually has those, because they should.
I'm sure
they should. I mean, I guarantee they'll be available the next time there's a quake up here, which is probably tomorrow, because it's California.
There's a town in New Jersey called Cheesequake, and there's a strain of marijuana called Cheesequake, and that's all I found.
Wow, Cheesequake. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I'm excited to see their progression. I'm excited to see what they do with George. I'm excited to see what's going to happen now between Tobin and Leaf, because that talk that they had last season about Leif like wanting him to like stop fucking around because he wants them to like take over and like they want to do, like, he's like, what's the point of taking over if you can't do it together? And I'm like, that is the cutest thing.
Right.
When I first met Leaf, I honestly thought the character was queer. So I was sort of surprised to see that he wasn't. And so there's always part of me that wondered if him and Tobin were going to experiment and end up together. I could see that being a route they take. It could be really beautifully done if they choose that.
Well, I mean, as we all know, just because you kiss a girl does not mean you don't kiss boys.
I know that better than anyone.
I mean, I don't think anybody here is a number one on the spectrum. Let's just be clear about this. Like, like we're all at least a 3.5, 4, if not 5 or 6. Depending
Dan Nye in the chat just said, I'll let you know if we ever get any cheesequake in the shop. But he does not work for a pastry shop. He works for another kind of shop that I may have just mentioned a little bit ago. Danimal.
First of all, hello, handsome man.
Hi, Dan.
Miss you. Second of all, I will DM you my address because I live in California, so you can send it to me. That sounds amazing. But yeah, okay, so I know we're getting to the end. I don't want this to go on too long because I mean we could literally just stay here for hours and hours and talk about
any after show I've ever done for any show is always longer than the episode itself was, so it happens.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we've also been talking a lot about the first season because season 2, so I figure a little bit longer than an hour, totally fine. But I wanted to do, I want to talk about heart songs because this. I think it's very telling and very perfect how they do the heart songs in this series. It's very true to the characters, and not only the characters, but like their singing ability and their performance ability. And I love the way that those are portrayed. So I wanted for this episode to talk about what we thought the heart song for 2020 was for us, and then what we want what we're hoping will be 2021 for us. So, Lindsey, what was your heart song of 2020?
Well, my heart song for 2020 is "All by Myself" by Celine Dion. But of course, I was not by myself. I was also with my husband. But the start of 2021, I thought I was going places. I had a job interview to get a promotion, and I was like, oh yeah, I was on top of the world, and then everything just started going down, 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 and then the pandemic happened, and then I unfortunately was let go, but during that time it was just kind of me turning into a ball and feeling alone, and it's just kind of using technology to get out of that, but I felt really alone.
Fair
at
enough.
times.
Obviously 2020 sucked for just about everybody. So what is your song? What is the song that you hope represents 2021?
Yeah. Fight for Your Right by the Beastie Boys.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
Because we just need to party, and we have the right to party, whether it's in our homes or wherever that is safe, or you aren't in an area where you can social distance, wear a mask. But I need to go out and party because it's done. It's over. And I started a new business, and so everything's on the up and up.
I love that. I'm so happy for you. Yeah. Max, what was your song of 2020?
So if you'll humor me, I actually picked two for both. So the first one was Exile by Taylor Swift and Bon Iver. And for this one, it's not even so much about the lyrics as it is the melody. And the first time I heard the song, I just broke down sobbing. And in the lyric, there's something about, I think I've seen this film before, but I didn't like the ending, which kept resonating with me throughout 2020. It felt like, even though the song is about like a breakup and stuff, like that one line in particular felt really relevant to a lot of what I was going through in 2020. And then the other one is I'm Breaking Down from Falsettos.
Oh, God.
Which was like, that was my year. Like, I'm just having a mental nervous breakdown. And that song, like, especially Stephanie J. Block performing it in the revival on that cast album, I was like, that was 2020.
And then what do you hope 2021 is going to be? Okay,
so, and I wrote these down this afternoon. So I picked two. So the first one I picked is A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. Nice. Which is on the nose and literal, but like that's what we all want, right? And it's a gorgeous song. And the other one, and I swear, I picked this long before I saw the episode, was Rise Up by Andra Day. So when the episode starts and Mo started singing that song, I was like, oh my God. Because that song I find to be so uplifting and inspirational and about getting up and moving on and doing better things. So that to me is, that's what we all want for 20. We need it to be a better year. We want to make progress and get back to some sense of normalcy and see our friends and hug our loved ones. So.
Absolutely. Well, my song for 2020, it was kind of a viral song. I'm pretty sure you guys heard it. It's called I've No More Fucks to Give. By Thomas Benjamin Wilde Esquire. It was literally like all over Facebook, and he's got like the suit, and he's standing in a suit store, and he's got this beautiful like handlebar mustache, and I've no more fucks to give. My fucks have run up dry. It's literally my ringtone. Which is why sometimes when people call me, I don't pick up because I'm like,
I just want to listen to the bop.
No, this is perfect. Yeah. So that was my song for 2020 because it just. I, had finished a tour in December of 2019 with John Leguizamo. And then I was like, well, it's the holidays and no one's hiring right now. So as soon as the new year came, I started applying for jobs. And I was literally in the process that Thursday before the world shut down, I had gone through my first interview. They loved me. They wanted to bring me back for another interview. That was going to happen the following week. And then the next Tuesday was when the world shut down. And then that Wednesday, I got an email saying that they were closing the offices. They weren't going to be hiring anymore. They were going bare bones staff. But on a good note, I literally got an email from him yesterday saying that they are that they are looking for people for that spot, and he would love it if I wanted to reapply. So I did. Awesome. So fingers crossed, y'all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm very.
Bring out all the good vibes for you, my dear.
Thank you. And then my song for 2021, it's called "You'll Never Get to Me." by Killing Joke, and I'm pretty sure nobody has ever heard of this, but the lyrics for the chorus are, "Oh, sing a song of joy, sweet childhood, never desert me. Time for celebration. Oh, overcome with sense of elation." And I'm like, this year needs to be about finding each other. Like, we've gone through this pain and despair, and we just need to find the joy in life again, because we literally weathered the storm. Now it's time to rebuild, and hopefully if people start wearing their freaking masks, we can get back out there. I can hop on a plane and come to New York and hang out with Maxwell. We can go get some pizza. We can go see a Broadway show and cry.
I want to relive our Kinky Boots night and just hold each other and cry while watching a musical.
Guys, you have no idea.
All I want.
Literally, we're sitting there like holding each other's
Sobbing.
arms,
And PJ was sitting in the side box above us, looking down at us, and I could see him tearing up. It was just,
it was such a great night. That was such a fun trip, and I just want to be able to relive that. I want to put my arms around people. I want to meet Lindsey for the first time and give her a big squelching hug. Like, I just want to break people's bones with my hugs and just be obnoxious with my love again. So that is my song. I had so much fun tonight, guys.
Yeah, me too.
Really,
thank you for putting this together.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, there's a few things I like more than sitting around with my friends and talking about things that we love. So, especially this show, which is perfect. So let's go around the horn. I mean, everybody's links are below, but if you want to say anything that you're doing this week and give a shout out for that, do that, and then we'll close out the show real quick. So Lindsey, where can the kids find you, and what are you up to?
You can find me at Noob Blondie on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. I'm hopefully this week going to start back to streaming my video games. So look out for that. If not this week, definitely next week. But yeah. So come join me.
Awesome. And Maxwell, where else do you live?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at CinemaXwell, and you can find me pretty much every other night of the week on the PJ Campbell Network, where we do fun stuff like watch-alongs, Suddenly soundtracks, the water cooler chat on Saturday afternoons, the unwind on Sunday nights, and I host a show called Front Center Mezzanine, all about theater, and on and on and on. So Tuesdays were my night off, and now they're not anymore, and that's okay, because I'm thrilled to talk about Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist and musical theater and sexy Jewish boys all night long.
Absolutely. Love it. You can find me at RM Silvestrini on Twitter and Instagram. All the links for all of our stuff are down below in the description, so please follow. If you're still listening, please like, subscribe, and come hang out next week.
Hit those buttons.
Yeah, hit those buttons. Ring that bell.
Tell your friends. Just because you didn't watch it live doesn't mean they can't watch it later.
Yes.
That's true. And if you would be so kind, tweet out the link and tag some of your favorite actors and people involved with this show, because I would love to have them on as guests, because
yes,
we just want to vomit our love all over them. Yes. Because I feel like that's something that needs to happen these days. People need to know how much they are loved and appreciated, as I love and appreciate you too. So come back next week, 9:15 Pacific Standard or Pacific Daylight Time, whatever it is. Come hang out with us, and we'll be talking episode 2 of season 2 of Zoey's Extraordinary Playlist. Thank you so much for hanging out. You guys are the best. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.